Hi, welcome back. This is Math, Chapter 5, Lesson 7, Graph on the Coordinate Plane. Our essential question, how are integers and absolute value used in real-world situations? What will we learn today? To graph ordered pairs, to graph reflections on the coordinate plane. Graph point M at -3, 5. This is our coordinate grid. This is the x-axis, the y-axis. Where they intersect is the point of origin, 0, 0. This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. First, we're going to start at the origin. The x-coordinate is -3, so move 3 units to the left. Next, since the y-coordinate is 5, move 5 units up and draw a dot. Here's another example. Graph point A at -4, 3. Draw a quick XY coordinate grid. Roughly plot -4, 3, and put an A at that point. Number 2, graph point N at -2.5, -3.5. The x-coordinate is -2.5, which is between 2 and 3. Start at the origin, 0, 0. Move 2.5 units left. The y-coordinate is -3, is between -3 and -4. -3.5. Next, move 3.5 units down and draw a dot. Notice that it's between the -3 and the -4. Try this one. Draw a rough coordinate grid, graph point B at 1.5 and -2. Save your work to discuss it at the group. Press play when you're ready to continue. Number 3, graph point A, 2, -4. Then graph its reflection across the x-axis. This is the x-axis. Remember, when we reflect across the x-axis, that the x-coordinate stays the same, and we find the opposite of the y-coordinate. Graph point A, over 2, down -4, down 4. To reflect across the x-axis, keep the same x-coordinate, 2, and take the opposite of the y-coordinate. The opposite of -4 is 4. So point A, reflected across the x-axis, is located at point A prime. 2, 4, graph point A prime. There's A, 2, 4. Need another example? Again, draw a rough grid, x and y axes, and label point L, -3, 4. Then graph the point that is the reflection of point L across the x-axis. When you reflect across the x-axis, your x-coordinate will stay the same, and you will find the opposite of the y-coordinate. Number 4, graph point B, -1 5/10, 3. Then graph its reflection across the y-axis. Graph point B, the reflection across the y-axis, keep the same y-coordinate and take the opposite of the x-coordinate. The opposite of -1 5/10 is +1 5/10. So point B reflects across the y-axis is B prime, 1.5, 3. There's the original. Across the y-axis The y stayed the same. You found the opposite of the x. Try this one. Graph point M at 2, -2 and 5/10. Then graph the point that is the reflection of point M across the y-axis. We know that when we reflect across the y-axis, the y coordinate will stay the same, and you will find the opposite of the x-coordinate. Show your work in your notebook. Press play when you're ready to go on. Number 5. Mr. Martin is using a coordinate plane to design a logo. He graphs points at 2, 4, and at 2, -2. He reflects 2, -2 across the y-axis. Then he reflects the new point across the x-axis. What figure is Mr. Martin using for his logo? Graph 2, 4 and 2, -2. 2, -2 reflected across the y-axis is -2, -2. Graph -2, -2. -2, -2 reflected across the x-axis is -2, 2. So the y stayed the same and the x changed. The x stayed the same and the y changed. So the figure is a trapezoid. If we finish connecting the dots, we have these two parallel sides, and these two sides will not be parallel. That's a trapezoid. Try this one. Martin is designing a formation for the marching band. One corner of the figure is graphed at 4, 2, and another corner is graphed at -4, 0. He reflects 4, 2 across the x-axis. Then he reflects the new point across the y-axis to graph the last corner. What figure will the marching band make? Show your work in your math notebook. Bring it to share at group. Press play when you're ready to continue. How did what you learned today help you answer the essential question? How are integers and absolute value used in real-world situations? Here's your ticket out the door. Describe how you would graph -3, -2 on a coordinate plane. So to describe, I would like you to describe it using complete sentences. Do this in your math notebook. Bring it to the group. That's all for now.